Hey guys, hope you and the families are doing well. This is the live coaching session. Today's date is the 17th of October 2025. What we're going to be doing in this session, the first part, going to be about 10-15 minutes or so. Just going to try and help you dial in a little bit more with a 5 minute opening range breakout. So we're going to go through some of the precious metal miners from the 15th of October 2025. So from Wednesday of this week, and just going to teach you the concept of group theme confirmation because some of you have been using the new 5 minute ORB candle highlighter, and you can see with Barrett Gold, Kinross Gold, and Agnico Eagle Mines, all of those precious metal miners, you can see them kind of lighting up green there for that kind of ORB 5 minute candle highlighter. So just going to help explain the importance of firstly group theme confirmation. So ideally I want to see the vast majority of stocks kind of lighting up green when they start ORBing, and then also thinking about the strength relative to the major indexes. So we're kind of doing two things here in the first part of the session. We're looking for group theme confirmation. So ideally it's not just one stock in the group or theme strong. This is also applicable, I think, if you're trading in Morellos. Ideally, you'd like to see them all, or see them all turning up together. But then, secondly, looking for intraday relative strength versus the spike. So I'm going to start off taking you through three precious metal miners from Wednesday, looking at each other, and then I'm going to go through Kinross Gold, looking at it versus the S&P 500, and we can talk about the management a bit as well. Yeah, Ash, I will bring you in a little bit later. We then got various ones to go through bar by bar. We'll try and go through some from today. So we've got Tesla, we've got Nvidia, PLTR, QBT, and a couple of precious metal miners, which I'm hoping their charts develop a little bit towards the end because there may be some Morellos, maybe not. We'll go through them. So let me just take through this. Okay, so the 5 minute kind of ORB candle highlighter thingy is called US opening 5 minute candle highlighter. Okay, and what it's designed to do is just help efficiently if you've got a lot of monitors set up, or not necessarily a lot of monitors, but a lot of say 5 minute charts, and you're looking to dial in, okay, which are the US stocks that are displaying intraday relative strength, potentially forming nice and what I would deem constructive opening 5 minute candlesticks. So I may want to be targeting ORBs there. Now, why this then helps me is it makes it a little bit more efficient, because with my kind of trading layout on my charts, I tend to cluster them together. So I'll have precious metal miners here, quantum stocks here, maybe the mega caps here, the crypto miner data center stocks over here. So suddenly if I start to see, oh, hang on a minute, Barrett Gold's gone green, Kinross Gold's gone green, Agnico's gone green, wow, it could be a really big day for the precious metal miners. So it just is a little bit more efficient in terms of dialing it in. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom this forward. So we're looking at Wednesday's session. I just want to highlight maybe the first 90 minutes of the session also. Okay, and then we're going to start going through Kinross Gold versus the S&P 500. So in terms of the first 5 minutes of the session, what are you visually seeing? This is, again, I think it's a useful exercise to understand when stocks tend to go on nice big moves for that session relative to their 20-day ADR percentage. What do they tend to do? What repeatable characteristics do they tend to exhibit? And then when stocks do that, could you see that similar behavior in other stocks from their group or theme? So in this instance here, we're looking at precious metal miners, right? And then the next point is, well, when the stocks did do that, what did they do relative to the major indexes? So the S&P 500 is going to be applicable if we're looking at precious metal miners, so the triple Qs, which are more tech oriented, right? So if we take a look here, Kinross Gold went on a nice run, okay, as we'll see in a minute when we look at it versus the SPY. But from the low of the day there to the high of the day, okay, the stock goes up. I appreciate it's a little bit hard to say, I've kind of covered it, haven't I? But the stock goes up 6.73%. Now, that may just seem like an arbitrary, no, oh, who cares, right? But that 6.73%, well, that's two times the 20-day ADR percentage, nearly, of 3.42%. So the stock's gone up 2x, let's say, its 20-day ADR percentage. Well, isn't that interesting? What if it was a stock with a 10% 20-day ADR percentage? So it's then going to move, say, 20%, or a 15% 20-day ADR. So it's going to move 30%, or 5% moves 10%, right? And what you tend to see, and what I see, is it tends to be the same characteristics. That's what I'm trying to get across in this part here. So if we take a look at Kinross in particular, well, what do we see? What does the opening 5 minute candlestick look like? Like visually, what do you see? Okay, it's a kind of bullish bar, right? There's kind of a little shakeout to Martel, but it's got a big real body relative to the range. So the real body is the distance from where it opens to where it closes. And specifically here, we're obviously looking at opening range breakouts. It's applicable on the 5 minute chart. I mean, it's applicable whether it's the 1, the 2, the 5, the 15, it kind of opening range breakout, and what time frame you use. What depends, one, on your personality, two, on the behavior of the stock on that time frame as well. Different stocks like to ORB on different time frames. Some don't like to ORB at all. So you want to kind of study the stock spine. What is potentially a sweet spot time frame, and you may change your time frame over time. You start saying, well, the 15-minute chart is actually working better for me and better for the stocks that I trade than the 5-minute chart. Okay, use 15-minute chart. And then in a year's time, it may revert and you're on the 5-minute chart. Just is what it is, okay? So you see here, we got this nice little shakeout to Martell, and then there's a strong real body. So the open is here, little shakeout to Martell, then we have a strong close with a tiny little supply shoot out there. So this here, really nice bullish bar in the first 5 minutes. Well, isn't that interesting? I'm actually going to skip ahead there a little bit. So we've got this bullish bar for Kinross Gold. Well, what if we look at that? And again, this is an important distinction to be making here is the stock went up about 2 times its 20-day ADR percentage. If we call it 7% versus an ADR of 3.5%, so the stock goes up 2 times, right? And it's actually able to rally, if I was to do it in here on the 5-minute chart, it's actually able to rally up here 6.73% without a single back-to-back. So this is where that 5-minute 60 EMA rule comes in, without a single back-to-back close below the 5-minute 60 EMA. Here kind of closes on it, next bar recovers, and the volume also dries up on that bar there at 10:35 Eastern Time. Okay, see this? So it's able to go up 2 times its 20-day ADR percentage without a single close below the 5-minute 60 EMA. So those are the type of situations I think you want to be involved in. And again, it could be a stock that has a 10% 20-day ADR percentage, goes up 20% without closing below the 5-minute 60 EMA. And it's up situations that I'm trying to find. So what do we see Kinross Gold do? There's that opening 5-minute bar. Well, what does it do relative to the S&P 500? Let's just zoom these charts in. Focus on that first kind of 2-hour period or so. Let's go load this up from 11:30 or so, pull that across, something like that. So we kind of have our charts loaded up. So what do we see Kinross Gold do relative to the S&P 500? Again, this is from Wednesday of this week. The S&P 500, I'd say that's like a bearish doji bar. Like it's just, it's kind of below the 5-minute 60 EMA, below the 5-minute 21 EMA. It's just a bearish doji, right? So Kinross Gold is doing this in the face of the S&P 500 doing this. This is intraday relative strength. So my observation is when stocks tend to go on big moves, and we're defining a big move relative to its 20-day ADR, so I'm talking about like 1.5 times, 2 times, and above, before it closes below its 5-minute 60 EMA, what does it tend to do? What does it tend to exhibit? What do you see? Well, you tend to see candlesticks that look like this, hence the indicator, right? Just to help draw your attention to potential situations like that, make it a little bit more efficient. Relative to the indexes, maybe doing that, maybe the index is a little bit stronger, maybe it's a little bit weaker, but the point is Kinross Gold is showing a lot of intraday relative strength relative to the applicable major index. And then we can kind of segue now into this, which is then group theme confirmation, because what you then tend to see when stocks go on big moves for that day, so potentially it's OCLO and SMR, and they're going to go on a really big run. What you tend to see is it's not just the stock going and it's being a lone wolf. What you tend to see is the group theme confirmation as well. So this is how I think you can then take it to the next level. You're not only looking for the intraday relative strength, you are looking for the group theme confirmation as well, both on ORBs and in Morellos, okay? So if you take a look here, Barrick Gold, or Barrick Mining now, exactly the same 5-minute candlestick, basically to Kinross Gold that we were just discussing. What do you see? Agnico, pretty much exactly the same 5-minute candlestick to Kinross Gold and Barrick Gold. And remember, the S&P 500 look like that. So the whole, essentially the whole group, the whole theme, the key stocks in there, GDX as well, the group, the gold miner ETF, is all doing that relative to the S&P 500 doing that. So this is where you can really start kind of dialing in, going, okay, where do I want to focus? If you really like trading, let's say opening range breakout, okay, is it like the kind of clean alternative energy momentum leaders? Is it SMR, OCLO and NNE are absolutely powering hard? Is it the quantum stocks? Is it the software AI stocks? Is it the semiconductors? Is it the drone stocks? Is it whatever theme it may be? And you're just trying to then dial in and go, okay, this is where I want to focus. This is potentially where the strength is. These are the stocks that can make big moves. So for me, I like the 5-minute 60 EMA as a trading stock for ORBs when they display this much strength. And it's also then that point of when the trade is playing out, is the stock that you're long continuing to display intraday relative strength. We're going to try and go through a couple of these from today, Tesla being one, POTR being another one, and maybe a couple of others as well as session starts to unfold. But as the S&P 500, if we just go put kind of a marker on this, let's go 1025. Okay, so if we just highlight this bar, basically when the S&P was topped out short term and just starting to show a little bit of pressure, 1025, and now let's go 1025 for Kinross. What happens to the S&P 500 post 1025 Eastern Time? Flush, 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 flush like this. Now, oftentimes why I then quite like trading the precious metal miners when you're seeing one, strength in the precious metal miners, and two, weakness in the major indexes is oftentimes they are inversely correlated. So just generally speaking, not all the time, it's not 100% correlation, but generally speaking, if you see weakness in the indexes, you can see strength in the precious metal miners. When you then see a re-emergence of strength in the indexes, you start to see weakness develop in the precious metal miners. So I'll show you this here, okay? So the SPY goes down, 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 down like this, flush, 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 whereas Kinross Gold just rides that 5-minute 60-minute. Yeah, it's intraday relative strength. So when a stock that I'm long is doing this and the indexes are doing this, I continue to try and hold the stock. The stock's saying, hold me. I'm really, really strong. There's no need to sell me. It's the opposite. No need to sell a rising stocks. But the 5-minute 60 it's doing this in the face of the index is doing this. Really, really like that. When the SPY then bottoms here and attempts to rally, that's when you start to see a little bit of weakness in Kinross Gold. But it's then also the point that the fuel is out of the fuel tank. Kinross Gold from the low of the day to the high of the day is up circa 2 times. It's 20-day ADR percentage. That is the fuel out of the fuel tank. So hopefully that's useful, both in terms of visually, 5-minute RB relative to the major indexes, looking for the intraday relative strength, but then taking it a step further, are you seeing the group theme confirmation? If I just wind this back once, let me just do this very quickly to finish. Let me just show you, say, Oklo and SMR, and we'll go back to the 11th of June this year. And then we'll bring in on Benjamin. We've got Ash. If anyone else wants to join in, please just let me know. So let's go back to the 11th of June. 11th of June. There we go. Just going to take it back there. 11th of June. 11th of June. 11th of June. 11th of June. One more time. 11th of June. So if we take a look here, okay, this is Oklo and SMR from the 11th of June. And it's kind of the same, well, it is just the same point. What did they do on the 11th of June? I'm just going to kind of zoom it out like that so you can kind of see the session. And we'll zoom this one out. Okay, so this here is the 11th of June. So Oklo on this day here goes up nearly 30%. And let's call that 2.5 times at least its 20-day ADR percentage. SMR as well. Nice big move going up 19%. Let's call that 2 times its 20-day ADR percentage. But Oklo even stronger. Okay, so what do we see on the 11th of June? Well, the S&P 500 does this on that first 5-minute candlestick. The S&P 500 rolls out of bed. What does Oklo do? Does the opposite. Powers out, goes green on the 5-minute ORB candle highlighter. That's a mouthful, isn't it? But goes green like that. And then it rides the 5-minute 60-minute. SMR, not quite strong. Opening 5-minute candlestick because it's got more of a shakeout demand. I think Oklo is even better there. But it's just trying to understand these characteristics. What do stocks tend to do when they go on big moves? But the strength of SMR was confirming the strength of Oklo. So it's that same group theme confirmation point. That's what we are, what we're looking for. So bring in Paul, and then we got Benjamin, and then we got Ash.